You didn't start here. Not really. Long before the doctor held scissors in trembling hands, before the first inhale or the first cry, you were already here. The world hadn't noticed yet, but you had arrived. They told you life begins with a spark, maybe at conception, maybe at the first flicker on a heart monitor. But those are just appearances. Visibility is not the same as existence. You weren't delivered like a parcel, and your soul wasn't randomly assigned like a room key in a hotel. You came through something vast and silent and sacred. You weren't taught this in school, not in science class, not in Sunday sermons, but you might have felt it somewhere, deep in your chest when everything got quiet. What if your soul didn't just show up one day, but planned this entrance with care? What if you chose the time, the body, the life, even the pain? Because something in you already knew why you were coming. From the outside, it looks simple. Cells divide. A heart starts to beat. A baby is born. But we both know, deep down, it's never been just biology. Ask any mother who's felt a shift in the room before a test turned positive. Ask the ones who woke from a dream, tears still wet on their cheeks, knowing someone had arrived. This isn't fantasy. It's recognition. And it's older than any textbook. Cultures around the world have kept pieces of this truth passed down in whispers and ritual. A soul doesn't crash into the body. It arrives like a melody finding the right note. It sinks, it waits, it watches. And when the conditions align, it begins its descent, gently, intentionally. Sometimes it comes in pieces. A flicker at conception, a breath during implantation, a full arrival with the heartbeat, and other times it waits 40 days before fully anchoring into the body it chose. Not just because of biology, but because the timing had to be right. Mystics, healers, poets, everywhere from ancient China to medieval Europe have written of this. Not as dogma, but as experience, a sacred unfolding. A choreography between spirit and flesh. A choice made in the shadows, in a space beyond language. It's not always obvious. It shows up in strange ways. A dream, a shift in taste, a cat who won't leave your side, a sudden stillness that stretches the room, a voice that isn't yours but speaks like home. Even science, reluctantly, quietly, is catching up. Studies now show fetal responses to music, to emotion, to rhythm and resonance. Babies remember what they heard in the womb. Cells emit light. DNA reacts to emotion. Something alive is watching from the very beginning. They won't call it soul, not yet. They'll say emergent awareness, biophotonic response, or prenatal perception. But whatever name they use, it's all pointing back to the same thing. Something is there, conscious, present, before we thought it could be. And then there are the stories. From children who remember picking their parents, from toddlers who speak of unborn siblings, from mothers who feel someone watching before they ever miss a period. Maybe it's not about when life begins. Maybe it's about when the soul decides to enter. And maybe that moment, when it comes, changes everything, because once you remember that you're not just a body, not just a brain, you begin to live differently. You stop chasing meaning like it's outside you. You realize it's already here, tucked beneath your ribs, breathing with you. That's the truth many of us are starting to remember. Not learn, but remember. And in remembering, we reclaim something sacred, our own beginning. And that's why we're here. If this stirred something in you, even quietly, even just a little, you're not alone. We explore this deeper in our free newsletter, Insights Academy. It's where we unpack the layers of consciousness, purpose, and the real path to remembering who you've always been. Plus, when you join, you'll receive a full digital copy of the Kabbalion, a timeless guide to the ancient principles that still move beneath the surface of everything. The link is in the description. And if this resonated with you, share it. Say something in the comments, not just for us, for someone else out there waiting to remember too. We've been conditioned not to see it. The gentle nudge, the shiver in the air, the dream that feels more real than morning. We chalk it up to hormones, imagination, maybe just a weird coincidence. But what if it's more than that? What if these subtle signs, the ones we're taught to ignore, are actually glimpses into because the soul doesn't arrive quietly. It leaves traces, gentle patterns, fleeting moments that pierce the mind and land straight in the heart. And here's the truth no one teaches. Those signs don't stop after birth. They keep unfolding, whispering, reminding us that something wise and aware has been part of this all along. This isn't just about biology or consciousness. This is about relationship. The soul doesn't just drop into the body and disappear. It begins a lifelong conversation, a quiet, constant dialogue between the eternal and the temporary. And it starts long before you have words to name it. We've been taught that life begins with luck, a random fusion of cells, a cosmic accident. But anyone who's truly paid attention to their own life will tell you this never felt random. Too much symmetry, too much timing, too many moments that feel chosen. What if you picked all of it? The parents, the timing, even the heartbreaks. What if incarnation wasn't something that happens to you, but something you carefully, deliberately orchestrated? In many spiritual traditions, that's exactly how it's seen. The soul doesn't just land anywhere. It watches, it waits, it chooses, not from a place of judgment, but with a kind of sacred precision. It looks at families, timelines, inherited wounds, planetary alignments, and karmic lessons like an artist scanning a canvas. Not to avoid difficulty, but to walk through it, knowing exactly what that pain might awaken in you. And not every soul chooses ease. Some come for growth. Some come for love. Most come for both. The most difficult paths often hold the greatest transformations. That's not suffering. It's soul-level mastery. Hypnotherapists like Dr. Michael Newton and Dolores Cannon collected thousands of stories from people who, in deep states of regression, remembered what came before this life. These weren't dreams. These were detailed recollections of the space between lives. of watching, waiting, choosing, with love, with clarity. Some souls said yes to families after years of watching. Some turned down others. Some knew they were choosing trauma not to suffer, but to transcend. It changes everything, because if the soul chooses, then you're not an accident. Your life isn't random. You're not surviving a story someone else wrote. You're living the curriculum your soul signed up for. That includes the people closest to you, even the hardest ones. Especially the hardest ones. Because sometimes the souls who challenge us most are the ones who love us deepest. Playing the roles we asked them to play so we could grow. This isn't romanticism. It's remembering. And timing? It matters more than we think. In many teachings, the soul doesn't just pick parents. It picks the moment, a specific alignment of stars, energy and resonance, not to predict the future, but to match a blueprint. Your birth chart isn't just a horoscope, it's a map, a cosmic fingerprint, a signature of intention. And sometimes, even with all that planning, the moment isn't right. Some souls prepare to come through, but don't. The conditions shift. The vessel isn't ready. The timing changes and the soul steps back. That's why miscarriage isn't failure. It's transition. A sacred pause. A quiet reroute. Some souls return later. Some don't. Some hover nearby as protectors, waiting for another window to open. In rare traditions, there's even the concept of walk-ins, souls that enter a body mid-pregnancy or later, often when something in the previous agreement shifts. Always chosen, never random. What this all points to is simple but profound. The soul is never passive. It's the architect behind the curtain, and when you really grasp that, it transforms how you see everything, your pain, your purpose, your path. You realize you're not just a consciousness inside a body, you're a soul wearing one. And that changes how you live. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, why did I choose this? That one shift opens a door no science class ever prepared you for. We were taught that life is a spark, an accident of chemistry. But somewhere deep down, most of us never bought that story, because if that were true, why do so many people, across cultures and time, describe the same signs, the same knowing, the same sense of a presence that existed before the body? The problem is the material world taught us to distrust what can't be measured. We were told that if it can't be proven, it isn't real. But intuition is real. Memory is real. Love is real. And none of those fit neatly inside a lab. The truth is, our ancestors knew what we forgot. That the soul is not a metaphor. It's you. And it was never waiting for the brain to finish forming. It was guiding the body from the start, leaving fingerprints in your DNA, your heartbeat, your dreams. Modern science is finally beginning to catch glimpses of this. Not with the word soul, but through phrases like non-local consciousness, epigenetic memory, and quantum resonance. And while they still avoid the sacred language, they're circling it. Quietly. Cautiously. Because if the soul is real, then consciousness isn't created by the brain. It guides it, which means life doesn't start with biology. It starts with intention. And if that's true, then you're not here by mistake. You're here because something ancient and aware chose this exact life. That means your challenges are not random. They're invitations. Your family isn't accidental. It's part of your blueprint. Your desires, your wounds, your gifts, they're all clues, threads that lead back to the you that existed long before this body. And when you remember that, you stop living to impress. You stop chasing checklists. You start listening to what stirs your soul, even if it makes no sense on paper. Most people are chasing lives that numb them. Degrees they don't love. Careers they don't care about. Success that empties them. But what if your soul didn't come here to win? What if it came here to wake up? Real purpose isn't a job title or a milestone. It's the quiet rebellion of living in alignment, of following the voice inside you that doesn't scream, but whispers. What lights you up, even if no one claps? What breaks your heart and heals it at the same time? What are you drawn to when no one's watching? That's your soul talking. And when you live from that place, things shift. You stop outsourcing your worth. You stop bending to survive. You start building from within. Not everyone will understand. That's okay, because the most revolutionary thing you can do in a world built on performance is to be true. Your truth awakens others. Your alignment frees them. And that's how the system crumbles. Not with rage, but with remembering. So if you've been feeling the stir, that quiet knowing that there's more, you're not imagining it. That's the soul, knocking, asking to be felt, asking to be heard, asking to be lived. Subscribe to our channel Voice. Thanks for watching.